organizing this webinar on Eat Right, Eat Complete in the New Normal. CII is, just to brief all of you, is a non-government, not-for-profit, industry-led and industry-managed organization which plays a proactive role in India's development process. The organization is celebrating its 125 years celebration this year. And I would now like to welcome all the speakers of the session and the moderator. We have with us today Ms. Kavita Devgan, Dr. Balaji, and Ms. Smriti. So just to give a brief, Smriti holds a doctorate in nutrition along with a degree in education as well as management. She has a keen interest in research, capacity building, and SBCC in the maternal, child, adolescent health, nutrition, and education domain. Then we have with us Ms. Kavita Devgan, who is a health writer, nutritionist, and weight management consultant who propagates practical, effective, and delicious way to achieve a healthy lifestyle. She is a purist and believes in promoting a minimally processed diet rich in fruits and vegetables. We have with us Dr. Balaji, who is a medical professional with specialization in industrial health, having around 23 years of healthcare experiences in the area of occupational health, wellness, and healthcare. It's a privilege for all of us to hear you out at this panel today. May I request Dr. Smriti to take it forward, please.
Thank you. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, Dr. Smriti, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So I hope technical difficulties don't come in, but let's start with a positive note. So good afternoon, everybody. A big thank you to each one of you for making time for these CII Arogya's series of webinars and for today's very relevant topic of Eat Right, Eat Complete in the New Normal, an area that is personally close to my academic heart. My thought.
Dr. Power, we can't hear you.
Difficult in it.
Dr. Power, is there a network issue at your end?
Insight from our brilliant guests we have with us today. Our first guest today.
Sorry, if I may come in, we miss hearing you. If you can just a little bit repeat the stuff.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, now you're audible. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. So as I was saying, our first guest today is someone with whom I share my academic discipline of nutrition. And let me get you all in on a secret. Then when I, after having only written scientific publications mostly in the past, was ready with my book, she was kind enough to provide candid, concrete publication leads. So my book of Missed Opportunities One Too Many just got published, and I can't thank her enough for the support and insights there. From her experience of writing many books. In fact, I am informed that she has a book release today right after this session. A renowned nutritionist, a columnist, a speaker. Please join me in welcoming Miss Kavita Devgan. Welcome, Kavita, and big congrats on your book. I hope I'm still audible.
Thank you so much. It's a lovely word.
Hi. Yeah. Thank you, Kavita. Thank you for making time. Our second guest is Dr. Balaji. He is CMO Godrej, a company which is one of the star performers in the network of around 130 companies of Arogya's Healthy Workplace Initiative, which emphasizes on eat right, eat complete, amongst other parameters, for health and well-being of employees. Needless to say, a critical piece in success and productivity, more so now as the landscape has changed overnight, bringing health and wellness to the forefront. So a very warm welcome to you.
Hi, Dr. Smriti, and hi, everyone.
So the way we have planned this session today is that I'm going to put across some questions, inquiry, thinking areas to our guests for them to share their insights, expertise, experience on all of them. Now, if you have any questions, please just punch in from the start. You don't have to wait for the end of the session. We'll try to keep a lookout for them and take them up and pose them to the panelists as we go along. So with that, let me start this conversation by going to Kavita first. So Kavita, tell me, nutrition is always so critical to health and well-being. What would you say are some fundamental factors if we were to talk about eat right, eat complete per se? I mean, as a norm, we will come to what all has shifted and what all adjustments need to be made, but wanted to have this opportunity to directly hear from you if there were any fundamentals that you would want to share with everybody when we say health and well-being and when we say eat right, eat complete per se. So over to you, Kavita, please.
Thank you, Smriti. I'm really glad to be here today to talk to everyone. Thanks to CII and thanks to Arogya. Looking forward to having a good discussion today, which is helpful to everybody, to me as well, so that I take back many takeaways too. Well, talking about fundamental factors, Smriti, they have remained the same. The fundamental factors for eating right have always been the same. They're the same commonsensical rules which have stood the test of time, right? And they have always been important, but I would like to reiterate here that today's circumstances makes it imperative for us to start following them consciously. So that said, the first principle which everybody must and just has to follow is to eat a balanced diet.
Mm-hmm.
No. You have to take it up as a project. You have to focus on it very, very consciously. You have to ensure that all the macros, protein, carbohydrates, fiber, good fats, yes, all of them get covered. Because it's important to ensure a wide variety of food to be plated so that we can cover all the nutrients that our body really requires. And we do need many of them, some in bigger amounts, some in smaller amounts. But you don't have to get into counting and stuff. As long as you're eating a varied diet, which is covering all the macros on almost a daily basis, you'll be covered. Now, there are so many nutrients that you don't know about as well. So don't even get into that. There's enough work on your plate right now to do. Just follow the simple rule that you eat a balanced diet. And here I would really like to, mention something which I feel it's a little out of the context here, but I want to mention it so that everybody hearing gets it. This is no time to experiment with diets. Please understand, that if you're getting tempted to use this time to lose weight, do it the right way, because I know a lot of people are getting tempted. I get calls from clients every day, but do not experiment right now. Just focus on nutrition. So that's the first principle. The second one is, again, a no-brainer, literally, but we don't focus on or don't give it the importance that we should, to it. That is, instead of relying on highly processed foods that are completely stripped of nutrients, we have to look back at our traditional diets. We have to celebrate eating home-cooked food. That is the way to go, especially from here on. The thing is, with home-cooked food, we never go wrong. We can control the ingredients, we can control the seasoning, we can even control the kind of oil and the amount of oil we are adding, right? So today, thankfully, fortunately or unfortunately, lockdown has given us that opportunity where we are, limited to eating home-cooked food. So I say make that completely a habit going forward. Do not rely on processed food. Try and cut it off slowly, completely from your diet. The third thing is that although this is more about food, I do need to mention here that exercise and food go hand in hand. We cannot underestimate the importance of enough movement, whether it is structured exercise, like going for a walk or going to the gym or, like doing some kind of a aerobics session or something, or it is a non-structured exercise. Both are very important. What a mistake many of us do is that, maybe we do a workout for like half an hour in the morning, and then we think we're sorted, and we spend the rest of the day sitting in a chair, whether it is your dining chair or it's your office chair or you're sitting in front of the TV or the couch or on the bed, but sitting, thinking that half an hour has covered us. It doesn't work like that. And it's happening even more today during the lockdown when we are captive. So we need to get a little more conscious about that, and we need to remedy that ASAP. Please don't underestimate the power of small movements. Things that used to happen naturally when we would go to office and, like go from one floor to the other or go from home to the office, whatever, at least some movement was there, is not happening today. So we need to build that in our day. Simple things, like every time you grab the phone to talk to someone, just stand up and pace around. Walk around a little. Maybe every hour do a small, go up to the balcony or to your garden and then just do like a 2 minutes walk and come back. While you're waiting for your next call or your presentation or your Zoom or webinar to begin, stand on your feet. Standing, it's a no-brainer, but standing burns more calories per hour than sitting. And so easily done. But you have to just do it consciously. Trust me, even fidgeting is good to keep your metabolism up. So become a fidgeter. So there's no problem with that. We have to do it consciously. Bring in movement, either through a structured exercise, and even with the structured exercise, bring in non-structured movement to your day. And that will really help you. Finally, just one last point I want to add here. In fact, I want to ask a question here, Smriti, to everybody here. Do tell me, when did you last say hello to sun? Not just like a minute hello, that when you went out to hang your towel to dry, actually sat down for like 15, 20 minutes or half an hour. No, I don't think we're doing that today. We're spending a day cooped up indoors completely. It's important. We need to sit in the sun. We need the sun for a lot of factors that we underestimate. It's important to make vitamin D in your body, right? Which is important for immunity, and we need to keep immunity on our side. I hope we talk about immunity in detail later, but we need sunlight to build immunity in our body. It will also warm up your body, and trust me, if you're thinking of losing weight, or in fact, or at least maybe just stop putting on weight, then too you need to keep sun on your sides. It's proven that vitamin D, which our body makes on exposure to sunlight, has a direct relation to our metabolism and weight. So please just sit in the sun for a bit, not just to dodge the infections coming our way, which is of course very, very important, but also to make sure that your weight stays where it should, or maybe lose a little bit as well. Over to you, Smriti.
Thanks, Kavita. Thank you so much. I think in a couple of minutes, you've kind of done like a crash course on health and well-being. Thank you for articulating it. I think the key points that stood out for me were all these, like you kept using the term no-brainer, but all these sometimes my feeling is that we know, but then we tend to forget, and we also tend to underestimate the importance of small things, small measures, like getting up more often, and like you said, just not kind of compartmentalizing it, saying okay, half an hour, because that is what people do, and that is what was the norm with many of the working category, office goers now. So with that, I think let me take this discussion to Dr. Balaji. I wanted to ask you, sir, that when now with the landscape has changed now. Work from home, which was allowed or which was kind of considered a progressive working environment, has become a norm and might be so for some time now. So now that this physicality of being the employees being in the office and has kind of changed, I would want to kind of ask you to view the landscape that was there earlier from the corporate wellness space, the employee health space, and how it has changed now, and how it could be affecting the changed dynamics of work, how this could affect the corporate wellness, employee health, and nutrition landscape. So if you could just kind of amalgamate and wrap up some best practices that you definitely would know, and how these are shaping up now. So over to you, Dr. Balaji.
Yeah, thanks, Smriti. And I think basically it's about focusing on all the dimensions of health. When I say dimensions of health, I mean the physical health, the emotional health, the spiritual health, financial health, and the social health. These are the 5 dimensions. I think this lockdown is, in a way, an opportunity for every one of us to focus on each of these dimensions of health. Now, when I talk about physical health, I think that Kavita did mention some of the points. It could be as simple as getting up from the sofa very often, but it could be a lot more similar examples. For example, it could even mean supporting your spouse in your day-to-day activities at home, or it could even mean simple things like cleaning up the fans or cleaning up the old things that we always wanted to do, but we always thought there was no time to do that. While we continue to work from home, we could also keep ourselves physically active, and also helping the spouse or helping the children or parents with whomever we stay to cook food. That not only draws the point back to Kavita's idea of good nutrition, it also gives a good stress buster, I would say, and also good physical activity. So these type of physical activities are an opportunity during this lockdown phase. And another thing could be, now that we know e-commerce has taken up a lot, and various societies don't allow the e-commerce delivery persons to come inside the society, and they would be out on the 5th floor or the 10th floor. It could be an opportunity to climb down the stairs and go and collect items rather than using a lift. Of course, there might be people with heart diseases or other conditions who are not supposed to climb the stairs, but whoever can, definitely I think we should climb the stairs and make use of this opportunity to improve physical health. And another form of physical health could just be walking within the house. And these days we have the various apps, the Google Fit apps, most of the apps which can be downloaded free of cost. And I'm sure in Arogya World have been advocating a lot of things about physical activity as well as nutrition. So we could download one of these apps and we could count the steps within the house while we enforce all the restrictions or whatever the authorities have advised us during the lockdown phase. We strictly follow them. But within the house, irrespective of how small or how big a house could be, doesn't matter. Walking from the room to the kitchen, to the living room, to the dining, when you keep walking and track at least about 6,000 to 7,000 steps in a day, that gives a very good physical activity over a period of 24 hours. So I think that is the first part, that's the physical health. And when I speak of the next part, the emotional health, I think this is where we really need to pick up the phone and speak to our friends, speak to our relatives. It's more than a phone call for somebody who might need our help, who might be in a containment zone, and speaking to them over a phone or over an app or a video app or an audio app would definitely make a lot of changes in terms of relieving stress. And human beings are social animals, as we all know, and we need to constantly interact with one another. And that is one thing which people would miss from office to home. So this is where people should really make use of this opportunity to speak to others, to speak to friends, to speak to relatives, to speak to family members. And we never had the time to do all this over many years. And of course, a few organizations have also provided EAP, Employee Assistance Program, where there are psychological counselors available. We don't even call them as mental health. We just call them as a friend who can help, or we call them as emotional health support. EAP program where people can pick up the phone or chat with a counselor. That would really help. All these would really be good stress busters. And there's a lot of research to prove beyond doubt that music is the best stress buster. Listening to your favorite music as you do your household chores, there can be nothing more relaxing than that. Or playing your favorite hobby. It could be an instrument. It could be a makeshift table tennis. For example, me and my daughter, we made a dining table. You convert a dining table into a table tennis board. So, I mean, these are all real stress busters, and they do add up to some loss of calories as well. That's the emotional health. And the third part is the financial health. While people would really be worried, especially now that they do have some amount of time for themselves, they start thinking about the finance, and this can really impact health. So, best way is to figure out a neat plan for the next 6 months or for the next 1 year. This could be either regrouping of the existing finances, or breaking down of your FDs, or rebuilding the FDs, or reinvesting your social securities. Could be a provident fund or any other social security. I think this financial health focus is very important during this phase, because people definitely tend to land up in high blood pressure and diabetes and stress disorders when they start thinking too much about finance. And the fourth part, which I wanted to stress, was about social health. I think this way, I think most of us are doing well. The best social health could be tool could be a Facebook, or it could be a WhatsApp, or it could be a Zoom app, or whatever it is, or any app, or the webinar apps that we are using now. Most people are definitely hooked to Instagrams and Facebook. While it is to some extent good, we need to draw the line to make sure that we don't strain ourselves, or especially our eyes and ears too much. But at the same time, it's always nice to post something wonderful on a Facebook or an Instagram, or whenever you want. Probably you did some nice good exercise, or you made 10,000 steps today. It's nice to post it to your friends. So that's a very good social health. And that really gives a sense of well-being, in the sense that you get to feel that there are a whole lot of people just like me and you, and we are not just alone on this earth. So we're all in the same boat. So that positive feeling is something which we can get with social health. And the fifth pillar of health, which I wanted to emphasize, is the spiritual health. And India has always been very rich in spiritual health, starting from the earliest stages of yoga and pranayama. Now, I don't call yoga just as spiritual. It is a combination of physical health and emotional health. And when we do the pranayama exercises or the simple breathing exercises, I think that gives a cleaner respiratory system that not only helps to cleanse up the mind, but it also helps to cleanse up the lungs and prevent respiratory infections. So it adds to physical exercises when we do yoga, but of course, make sure it is done under a trained online course, and we don't experiment ourselves and land up in musculoskeletal problems. So I think overall, a holistic approach focusing on these 5 dimensions of health would really help us cope up with this phase. And the world now is going to be totally different from what it was, but it is in our hands how we take it forward and cope up with it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Balaji. I think between the two of you, we have, kind of covered the entire 360 of nutrition and health all the dimensions. I think, Dr. Balaji, the takeaway from your narrative, I mean, one big thing that kind of jumped out was integration, if I may just kind of put it out that way. Because, like you rightly said, the work has come home, and the home and work, they're kind of mingled. And I think what Kavita was also saying, in a way, that physical activity cannot be just compartmentalized. It has to be integrated with our routines. Now, our routines, the work routine and the home routine, have kind of become one. So in that sense, having these conscious integrations while you're working, getting up, while you're, like you said, climbing down the stairs to get the parcel or to receive the parcel. So in a way, it is not an additional thing that you're adding, but you're kind of integrating what needs to be done or what should have been done into your everyday routine. So I think those thank you for articulating that dimensions of health and the whole health and nutrition landscape from an employee, a corporate employee, corporate wellness perspective. I mean, the EAP that you mentioned, so very important. The financial health worries really are important, despite whatever is happening to support the financial landscape or financial matters. There is definitely stress on that part. So I think that EAP initiatives that you mentioned were definitely best practices. But you know, I do want to delve on this a little further, and I'm just opening it to both of you. Just wanted to put in here, you know, exactly because of these reasons, that, you know, work and home, they've come together. And it's 24/7. It is going to be the new norm. And in fact, you know, what this new norm is going to be is also not very clear. I read somewhere, it is like, you know, flying an aeroplane while you're building it. So really, what this new normal is going to be, in what quantities will these home and workplace merge, is also kind of emerging, and it will emerge. So I really wanted to, you know, talk about the challenges. Let's just hold on to some of the challenges, exactly for the same reasons, like you said. Your normal routines that people might have had are not there, you know, because in normal routine you might have from simple things like you might have a system of drinking water at your desk, you know. You have a system of, okay, I'm kind of going to my desk, and to be very honest, I recall I used to have this thing that I should get up to fill up my glass of water, and I kept oscillating between keeping a bottle of water and then just a glass of water, so that I finish it and I get up to refill it. And I know people have their own routines. Similarly, they might have, you know, okay, this is gym time, consciously integrating the movements within their workday, but then have allocated time for exercises. So I just kind of wanted to open it up to both of you, and you can decide who wants to come in first, but just wanted to remain at this topic of, because the landscape has changed and is changing, what are the challenges that you think people might be facing, especially from corporate employee perspective, in adhering to the health and wellness regimes that they might have? So in other words, what should one be mindful of? So if you could just, each one of you, and please take your turns, whoever wants to come in first. Over to you both.
You have to
Sure. Yeah, go ahead, Kavita.
Okay. So no, I was saying a very simple fact, stating in fact a very simple fact, that we are all stuck at home these days, and it is inconvenient, there's no doubt. But the fact is, it's absolutely necessary, right? This virus is deadly, and it's best avoided, because there is no cure for it yet, and prevention is our best bet. But that said, like you mentioned, Smriti, it has put up completely new challenges. Already we weren't really honestly leading very, very healthy lives, most of us. weren't taking care of principles. Now it has become slightly tougher, I would say, on everybody. Even the small steps that people had weaved in their lives, like you mentioned, the water, and sometimes people would just put in some kind of a maybe half an hour at the office gym or something. All those have also gone out of the window. So the main challenges I see today that we are facing is, of course, like I mentioned, low activity, which is, I think, unfortunately, leading to weight gain to a lot many people. So out the other side of lockdown, we will see, some extra weight onto everybody's body, and that's not such a great thing. Second, I see, but this one is obvious. The second one is not that obvious, which is lower nutrition. We are not really taking care of what we are eating so much, because convenience is also really important at this time, because again, there's pressure of office work, homework, so good food is probably taking a back seat. So I foresee that it could lead to some deep set deficiencies, in the long run. These are the two main issues in terms of physical health that I can think of. Maybe if we have time later, we could talk about mood also, because I do need to talk about that. But right now, let me just focus on these two. So obviously, this weight gain, lowered activity cannot be helped, and the examples that Dr. Balaji mentioned were brilliant. Simple. I mean, in fact, I'm going to do it now. Clean up all the fans because that is such a wonderful calorie burner. And also, I'm just going to overhaul all my wardrobes. So all those things he's already mentioned. So let me just come straight to the food. How can we control it? Through the food. The simple fact is that we have to create a calorie deficit. Why? Because our activity is lower. So we must eat in accordance to the amount of activity or the burning of calories we're doing through the day. So how can we do that? I'll give you like 3 simple tips that everybody could just follow, or you could just pick 1 or 2 out of these and see which one works for you. What I would suggest is, see if you find it feasible to do. Instead of eating 3 main regular meals a day, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, full meals, maybe you could convert one of those meals into just fruits and vegetables. Ideally, lunch, I would say. One, it will be lesser cooking, so that helps. And second, you'll be able to create a bit of a calorie deficit. And third important thing, you'll be able to score a lot many vitamins and minerals and antioxidants this way. The second thing that you could try out is that please put a complete blanket ban on snacking. Trust me. Only 2 things that you should be allowed to snack on should be fruits again, or nuts and seeds. Again, it will add on a lot of health and cut down calories. So both the goals will be met like that. Third, just make one and more rule. Now, this one could be probably the hardest for you to follow, but it is equally important, in which is decide that you're going to eat fried foods and sweets once a week, right? Mm-hmm. Then you can eat what you really want. So you know that it's not a complete no-no. So you know that maybe you decide to do that every Saturday. You could do your meetha day, and your Tuesday could be your fried day, or some such kind of a combination. Again, that will really help keep your weight in check. Now I want to talk about deficiencies, because we keep talking about weight, because it's obvious, it shows in the mirror, but deficiencies don't show. And I would not want anybody, frankly, to end up with, say, weakened bones or maybe anemia by the end of the lockdown. So there are some essential nutrients I personally feel everyone must take care of consciously. There are lots more, but that can be taken care of by eating a balanced diet and also eating a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. But in particular, look out for calcium, both men and women, not just women, okay? Men get osteoporosis as well, and younger people are getting it now. So simple 3 foods that I'm going to mention, try and include at least 2 of these every day in your diet: dairy, anjeer, that is dried figs, and till seeds. Just 3 of these are brilliant calcium sources. Iron. Stamina is so important at this point of time. You don't want to lag on that front at all. So make sure that you put enough iron consciously in your diet. If you're a non-vegetarian, then eggs and meats, brilliant. Otherwise, besan, chickpeas, all the dals give you iron. And maybe every second day or every third day, try and do a cup of anar, pomegranate. But make sure that you squeeze some lemon on it because you need the vitamin C to actually absorb iron from pomegranate. So this is really, really important. And like I mentioned earlier, the other vitamin that we miss out is vitamin D. So sit out in the sun every day. And maybe that is one vitamin. I'm not really in favor of supplements. I don't suggest them so much. But vitamin D supplementation, maybe you could do for some time to just bring your vitamin D up to the mark. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Balaji, do you want to add to this in terms of the challenges that people, your employees might be facing in what was just a norm, and because they were a part of the corporate policy on a healthy, since Godrej is a healthy workplace. So do you want to kind of share some insights before we kind of go to the next segment?
Sure. Nothing specific to Godrej, but in general to any employee in industry or any company, any industry for that matter. There are two challenges that people generally face across the globe. One is the challenge with time management, and the other is the challenges with integration. When I say challenges with integration, earlier people used to say work-life balance. I need to balance my work. I need to balance my life. Now it's no work-life balance, it's a work-life integration. So there could be various challenges. For example, earlier when people come to office, when they're in the office, they have someone back at home, a house help or a maid who could help their elderly parents or somebody at home who needs special care, and they could focus here. But now, with the house help not coming or with absolute no help, they have to balance both. At the same time, for example, I know a person who works in a different organization, who's been my friend for pretty many years, and he was really struggling with this. He had to take care of his elderly parents at home, and he had to focus on his work. And he had calls regularly in the afternoon from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. That was when he had to feed his parents as well, who really needed help. So this type of, sensitivity, we need to be sensitive to our colleagues. We need to be sensitive to the people around us whenever we schedule calls. Just because we are at home, it doesn't mean that 24/7 we can keep scheduling discussions or calls. Of course, in emergencies, we do that. But as far as possible, try to get to know the best possible time, or fix some time, say from 9 to 12 and 2 to 8, or whatever could be the best that works out for all the people in the team. So this type of teamwork and understanding the special requirements of the team, that's a challenge, because this was not there in the office when they're physically there from 9 to 6 or 9 to 7. It just goes on. But now I think people need to be more sensitive to this whenever they need to take care of their family members as well. That is one. And the other is time management. There's a lot of procrastination. So people tend to think, okay, there's a whole lot of time. I can do this towards the evening. And the evening comes, they push it to the next morning. So I think time management is something which really people need to work on and make sure that we complete things on time instead of just putting it off indefinitely. I think these are two big challenges from an emotional health perspective that I foresee.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you. I think these are two huge areas that you brought in, and just to kind of between you and Kavita, I think this rich kind of a grip on the challenges from, like what Kavita said, a balanced diet is the key, it is the rule, but she consciously pointed out to be mindful of the nutrients, to be mindful of the weight and the calorie deficit, and in a way how to do it. Kavita, I would come back to you on immunity and stress. Those are big topics that we do want to cover. Just taking a short kind of minute to announce to all our participants again, please, if you have questions, we have Kavita, we have Dr. Balaji here. If you have any questions, you do not have to wait till the end of the meeting. You can just punch in the question answer sessions. We might take up those questions in our discussion, but we just want to make sure that all your questions that are typed in are kind of integrated into the discussions and we do not want to leave any query unattended. So just wanted to make that quick announcement for everyone. And quickly coming back to what both of you kind of said, what I am taking out from this is, it is easier to say that the home and the work have kind of become one, or they have merged. But I think what the narrative that came out from both of yours talks was, the contours of each of them has changed. For example, the SOPs, or what the resources in terms of the procedures that were set on for certain things in the office as an SOP might have been disrupted for sure, because of the proximity and everything. Similarly, at home, the arrangements that were there might have been disrupted with this huge chunk of part-time house helps that were there, that was available, that has suddenly withdrawn. So with the contours of these two spaces changing, and both of them all of a sudden coming together, I think the integration is a word, but then it is quite nuanced in this setting. And literally, really, it seems like we are, kind of making our strategies and ways to the new norm that is also emerging and changing dynamically. And I'm so happy that we are discussing this, and CII is letting us come together to discuss this and to discuss the nuances. While we may know this, but I think interfaces like this bring out the nuances and bring out the things that we need to be mindful of, that we need to be watch out for. It is just not the things, Kavita, that you said about iron. It is so very important. There's whole body of research around that, which kind of says, obviously, it is a huge critical piece in productivity, in concentration, which is required all the more because now we are not just siloed in your cabin and you're not away from distractions, if I may say so, of the household. You are living both the lives together. So I think those particular nutrients that you spoke about, and just not for women but for men, I think these are these huge points that came out from that narrative. So with this, let me kind of take this discussion to a different paradigm, and I know, Kavita, you have mentioned that, and thankfully so, setting the stage for this segment, So we talked about normal like norms of nutrition and health and the paradigms there and what adjustments need to be made. But I would wanted to come to you, Kavita, specifically, and would like you to talk a little bit about this whole nutrition role of eating, right? And immunity. That is one. So are there food and nutrition tips for boosting immunity? To what extent they help? So one is that area. And the other area is obviously the mood uplifting. And I think we have touched this thing earlier. Generally, the convenience foods, you just open a bag of a packet of chips, or the sweets or the fried foods, to kind of the comfort food, so to say. In my house, I do see even my kids going to the refrigerator with that ice cream to kind of just have it, and these unhealthy snacking and unhealthy snacking becomes a challenge. So in that sense, could you talk about food and eating right per se, Kavita, in terms of their role in building immunity? That is one. And in terms of beating the stress, which kind of puts into saying that are there any healthy tips for healthy foods for healthy minds, tackling mood changes, boosting efficiency, especially while everybody is working from home? So, Kavita, I think this question is entirely to you, and please do address both the areas. Over to you, Kavita.
Thank you, Smriti. First, let me just thank Dr. Balaji. I just love this word for office. What did he say? Work-life integration. Trust me, this is one box that has come to everybody, and everybody is grappling with this today. We hadn't yet got the grip of work-life balance, and this new animal or work-life integration has come up, which is proving to be tougher. So everybody is really, really having a tough time there. So this is something which I'm so glad you brought up, because I'm sure a lot of people will identify with that. Okay, now coming to my area of expertise, immunity. Of course, it's very, very important. The thing is that probably it's now that everybody is realizing that there is no way out but to develop a strong immunity. We all know that we have an inherent immunity. We can't see it, we can't feel it, and unfortunately, there's no test for it. You can't even take its pulse and temperature. But the only way to know whether you have a good immunity or a bad immunity is to see how fast you catch an infection and how fast you get out of it, right? Immunity is what is constantly patrolling our body and destroying infections, and that's something that has come to everybody's mind to the forefront right now with this corona and COVID scare, right? Because it's the strength of our immunity, we all realize, which is going to decide who's going to get sick and who won't. And also, if you do catch the infection, people with stronger immunity now, as we know, will get out of it with least damage. So I'm not saying that it's just for corona that you need to build up your immunity, but this is a lesson for life. We need, and there is no doubt about it, that everyone needs an immunity which is as tough as nails, an immunity which is a real fighting machine. So everyone needs to do and must do everything they can to build up a brilliant immunity, something that can take care of whatever the universe throws at them. At least we can try. That's what I'm trying to say. So, of course, to build a strong immunity, all the basic rules apply, like watching your weight. In fact, not many people know that the heavier you are, lower is your immunity. So you need to be near your optimum weight. This is something that everyone must take care of. Getting enough sun, which I already mentioned. You need vitamin D to form immunity, infection-fighting cells in your body. So there's no escaping that. Sleeping well. Maybe I'll speak about it a little, how to sleep well as well if we have enough time. But sleeping well to let your body restore and rejuvenate itself is equally important, so that the next day your immunity stays fine. And as a collective thing, also immunity gets stronger and stronger. And of course, exercising. All those things stand. But there is no bypassing the importance of eating right to build your immunity. So let me just today talk about, in fact, let me just give you a few foods, maybe like a few 5-6 foods, and you could, that's like tailor. These are the simple foods that almost everybody would have stocked up on, or you can source them very easily. They're not tough to source in these times. These are the foods that you need to include in your diet very consciously. I keep using the word consciously because it's important, just to make sure that your immunity stays up to mark. First, I want to talk about hydration, because no topic on immunity can be complete without talking about how important hydrating is, keeping our body hydrated. Just understand by this that even if our body's water percentage drops even by a small percentile point, the immunity takes a big hit. So just make sure that you keep hydrating. Like Smriti, you said that you used to drink water regularly. So we need to make sure that even staying at home, we have to keep that practice up. Aim for 8 to 10 glasses of water. It's getting warmer, maybe even more. No harm in having a little extra. But just maybe put an alarm. I tell everyone to put an early alarm, or just keep a bottle right next to where you are, literally like an appendage, you carry it around, and keep drinking from that. And count the amount of water you're having, because we think we are having enough, but we usually aren't. The second thing I want to talk about is, again, the Indian wonder, turmeric, haldi. No immunity discussion can be complete without turmeric. The curcumin in it is all you need. In fact, I'll go to the extent of saying that is something you need most definitely in your diet today. It's a strong flu fighter. It's both antiviral, it has antioxidant properties, it's antibacterial, it can help ward off viral infections, and just keep your immunity strong, not just for now, but for later as well. So just Go back to that traditional habit of drinking haldi doodh. Just put a pinch of pepper in it so that you actually absorb the curcumin. If you can't have milk, like some people are lactose intolerant, just put it in all your tadkas. Maybe you could make a early morning, concoction where you just add some cinnamon, some haldi, and some lemon, and a little bit of pepper, warm water, and you can drink that as well. Just put a little bit of coconut oil in it as well, because haldi needs a little bit of oil. That is why milk works best to get absorbed best in a good amount. These are the simple ways to include haldi in your diet. You could find your own ways. If you want to give it to children, I have a very simple tip. Just make haldi jaggery small balls, really tiny ones. You don't need it in huge quantity. And let your children have that every day. Simple way to make sure that they get some haldi in their body if they don't like haldi doodh. If they have haldi doodh, nothing like that. Then carrots. If you can still source them, I don't know if some people still getting them, some people aren't, because carrots give you vitamin A, which is a brilliant phytonutrient. It actually boosts the production of your infection-fighting natural killer cells and T cells in the body. It's that brilliant for us. Another very indigenous food for India, amla, Indian gooseberry, is the best source of vitamin C you can find. And it's usually mostly available across the country and very, very inexpensive. It's the best way to make sure that some vitamin C goes inside your body every day. And in fact, one amla a day is just good enough. So maybe just do an amla juice, or just shave it and add it to your juices. Just have it, or just eat it. For children, maybe, if those who are listening and have children and want to give the amla to children, maybe amla murabba is also a brilliant idea. Then drink your lemons. It's an ideal food for restoring the acid-alkali balance in your body, which is important because that promotes a climate which supports healthy bacteria and virus instead of there's no healthy virus, sorry, healthy bacteria instead of the bad viruses, harmful viruses that just keep coming to us from all sides. And also gives you some vitamin C. So just a little bit, like your grandpa used to do, like I've mentioned in my book, Ultimate Grandmother Hacks also, the simplest tip. In fact, I say in that book that from the entire 220 pages, if you want to take just one tip, please take this one. What, we've seen all our grandparents do early in the morning, 1 cup of warm water with half a lemon squeezed in it, a little bit of honey if you do want it sweet, otherwise you can skip it, and a pinch of cinnamon. It's brilliant. That's the best way to start your day, both for your immunity and for your gut. Flax seeds, again, alsi seeds, which are available so easily, and we underestimate them all the time. You get all your omega-3 from there, especially the vegetarians. So just have some flax seeds in some form every day, whether as a powder or as roasted seeds, or flaxseed laddus also you can make. Again, everything can be given to children. You just have to get very, very creative. I love to just put a little bit on my yogurt every time, which comes to my next food, yogurt. You need the good bacteria in dozens, thousands, whatever, millions every day. And yogurt is a daily probiotic that can do just that for you. So when you add flaxseed to it and have it together, flavor it with something, don't like it plain, that is a double dose of bug fighting weapon. So that's brilliant. Spices also help. So all the spices, peppercorn, cinnamon, turmeric, cardamom, tulsi leaves, ginger, all of them are brilliant. I feel the best way to take all these spices is to just add them by rotation in your chai, your cup of tea. Most people have at least 2 cups a day. So you could use them by rotation and just add at least 1 or 2 spices every time in your chai. In any case, your tea is your best relaxation tool. And frankly, today's time, we do need to keep stress control in mind as well. So I'm sure everybody knows that the immune system gets suppressed when we are down and depressed. So have that cup of chai. It's wonderful for you, but just make it a little better by adding a few spices to it. That is really important. Now I can go on and on. There are a lot many other foods, but we have to look at the time constraint also. In fact, my next book, the one that I'm launching today, my 3rd book, Fix It with Foods, and I'm launching it right after this session at 5 o'clock. on the Oxford Facebook page. That lists all the foods and what they can do for you. There is no doubt that you have to eat the right foods, and there is no doubt again that we all can do with a little bit of extra help at this point of time. I think enough about immunity. People must have got enough takeaways from this. And I would like to talk about mood, and I'm glad you brought that up because not many people, Smriti, get this connection of mood and food, frankly. Really, and it's important. It's really as important as maybe, it's better than popping a pill. Food can be more effective in controlling your mood. All the anxiety, the stress, the insomnia, the frustration and anger, everyone is facing it. So you are not alone. I mean, I'm not alone, I'm sure. Everyone is facing it today. So here also, food can really, really help big. First, again, simple, the same rule which I mentioned right at the outset, the balanced diet. You need to eat a balanced diet, avoid fat diets and starvation diets. You need to eat enough protein because proteins have an amino acid, tryptophan, which is, important because it gets converted to serotonin in your brain. And that's the chemical that actually calms you down and keeps you happy. So what can be simpler than that? So eat proteins every day in enough amount. But that said, don't depend on just proteins. Carbohydrates are also important. In fact, tryptophan from protein only works best when it is combined with some carbohydrate, when it is had in conjunction with a carbohydrate food, a little bit of carbohydrate. So if you cut off carbohydrates from your diet, and this message is to all the keto dieters out there or the fat dieters out there who try to remove carbohydrates completely from their diet, you have a bigger chance of getting depressed and having mood swings. Please don't take those chances. This is not the time to remove carbohydrates from your diet. You do need some. So choose the good ones. Choose the complex carbs, but keep eating them. Okay? And third, the fats. Fat is not a four-letter word. We need to understand good fats we need to keep our mood stable. So ghee, coconut oil, nuts and seeds, all of these can really, really help you. So include them in your diet, of course, in moderate amounts, but you need to include them in your diet. And also, like always, I'll give you a list of 5 foods, my top 5 foods which keep me happy, and there's science behind each one of them. Haldi, like I mentioned, not just for immunity, but it's the feel-good food too. So which is why milk and haldi together work very well because dairy is my second food in the list. Third is chickpeas. Yes, that's safed chana, that underrated chana which is there in every kitchen, in every pantry, is a very good happiness food. Banana, trust me, again works on the serotonin in your brain, gives you a good boost, which is why it's called a happy fruit. And finally, the 5th one, figs. Again. And by the way, figs will give you a lot of iron and calcium too. So it does a lot of good for you. So out of these 5, besides following the generic principles I mentioned above to stay happy and calm and anger-free, also include 2 or 3 of these 5 foods in your daily diet. And then you'll see a huge difference, I hope.
Great.
Thank you.
Great, Kavita. It was like, I don't know about everybody else, but it was like having a masterclass one-on-one with you. So thank you. I'm sure everybody is going to hold on to all the messages that you gave. And if that information becomes too much, your book is coming anyway. In fact, Arogya, my Thali program that I mentioned earlier, runs a huge social media, Instagram campaigns on good foods. And a huge campaign is run on immunity. A lot of things that you said, yogurt, and basically the easy but good convenience foods and good snacks and healthy snacks. All those messages are kind of there. So listeners can check out that, can check out the handle, do check out the books and the resources that are available. There's a lot that is available. And I think what Maithali, the Arogya's intention is to kind of keep nudging people, because like I said, and you said also, that sometimes we know it all, we think we know it all, but then it's hard to make those connections. So having this bite-sized information is comes in handy. And so thank you so much, Kavita, for kind of converting this into a kind of a master class. So we are we have about 30 minutes left in the session, and I've been looking at the questions that have been coming, and I'm trying to integrate those in our discussion so far. And I think, Kavita, your masterclass kind of addressed many of them. Let me kind of pick another segment which both of you have in a way touched. So I'm sure we all listened to the Honorable Prime Minister address last night, which among many other things highlighted the lens of opportunities, and opportunities is something that Dr. Balaji mentioned, like this time is an opportunity. Kavita, you also mentioned this time can be used as an opportunity, So as a coincidence, the title of my book that just released is Of Missed Opportunities, One Too Many. And it essentially talks about the missed opportunities, cognizant mindset, the MOC mindset. And Kavita, if I may steal a leaf from what you said, what I would want people to have from that book is, if from those 120 pages that kind of bring in insight from last 20 years of professional assignments, is that have an MOC mindset that kind of sees, whatever the case be, there is a missed opportunity looming or waiting to be, or maybe more waiting to be seen. So I do, in this last segment, I do want to take this positive lens amidst all the the doom and gloom that we are in. For example, in COVID response, we have seen many collaborations organically happening, like in that all hands on the deck sort of approach. Many new initiatives sprung up to answer the need of new challenges or to address the new nuances to the new problems. So even in adversity, let's change the lens and bring the possibility of opportunities. Both of you have hinted it in your respective narratives. I just wanted to put a spotlight here and specifically kind of ask you, while we are kind of ending, in the last segment, that how do you see this phase as an opportunity that might carry on to shape the corporate culture, to shape the corporate wellness, employee wellness, kind of regime, so to say, and how do you see this kind of carrying forward in whatever COVID phase we might be in? But let's just say in our lives, when the learnings from this phase. So just opening this to kind of both of you, to if you could talk about the opportunities that you see there specifically in crisp points, and also I think forums like this, has been an opportunity to talk about all this more formally, in a more organized manner. So what are the opportunities that you see here, and what more the organizations, think tanks, corporate stakeholders could do to promote Eat Right and Eat Complete? So if you could just throw some light and crisp pointers on all this opportunity side of it from the corporate wellness space. So Dr. Balaji, do you want to go first, or?
Yeah, sure. So when we talk of opportunity, I think the biggest opportunity would be to develop new habits. By definition, medical science, habit is something which we keep on doing over a period of 21 days would turn into a long-term protocol. So now we have had more than 21 days of lockdown, and I think this is really an opportunity to develop new habits. Of course, the habits could be of two types. One is to make sure we have a sound body, and the other one is a sound mind. So for a sound body, the habits could be as simple as focusing on our body mass index. Body mass index, as most of us know, is just the ratio of weight in kilograms divided by height in meters square. So especially for Asians, the body mass index needs to be less than 22.9. And of course, for non-Asians, it can go up to 24. So this is an opportunity for us to focus on our body mass index, and in case, and as we know, most of the urban Indians, especially on the corporate sides across India, the high body mass index is one of the commonest complaints. It in fact impacts productivity in the long run too. So this is an opportunity. The second opportunity in terms of healthy body would be the various nutrition facts that Kavita mentioned, incorporating various nutritional recipes and to make it as a routine and not just a lockdown special, but should be more of a lifelong habit formation. That would be an opportunity. And of course, the most important opportunity would be for a sound mind. When you talk about sound mind, that could be developing new skills, new hobbies, doing new courses. People can do a whole lot of online courses, and many of them are offered free of cost by universities across India and globally as well. And this is an opportunity to advance our soft skills, technical skills, and also an opportunity to ensure we stay physically fit and healthy. I think that's really a great chance for us to redefine or reboot our lives. As the Prime Minister mentioned yesterday, we can really reboot ourselves to a more self-confident individual. And that really carries a long way for all of us.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Balaji, for giving very crisp pointers here. Kavita, do you want to add your last kind of thoughts on what more could be done? What are the opportunities that you see here?
I see this as a wonderful opportunity because fortunately or unfortunately, we are stuck at home, right? So I feel this is the perfect time to focus on our health and, actually boost our immunity to a level wherein post the lockdown and post hopefully the corona phase also our immunity stays strong. I've already spoken about how we can do it. Also, I feel this is a great time, really a good time to go back. I mean, in any case, a big fan of the age-old cliche, old is gold. So I feel that right now everybody can try and bring back old traditional rules of eating that we seem to be forgetting with time, And when we practice them, our children will see them and hopefully it will become a part of their habit system as well. This is the best time to teach them certain rules that we ourselves have been forgetting, but our parents and grandparents used to do. We saw them growing up. So we practice them and our children can learn it because I feel the answer to this problem or to any health problem, frankly, lies in eating diets that are traditional and are more suited to our genetic, being. So this is a perfect time for that. In any case, more and more researchers are now confirming that the traditional rules that we were following earlier still stand good. Like, for example, I'll just mention one small thing, that now we know why putting a little bit of ghee on that pulka is so good for us. And growing up, I've always eaten pulka like that. It's only lately that everybody just, stopped the fat intake, just threw ghee out of their, pantries, literally. Then having water first thing in the morning. We now know hydration is important early in the morning. Also, maybe moving away from just food a little, but a simple habit like eating food, meals together as a family on the dining table. I don't know how many families do that anymore. Bringing that community aspect back. This is the time when everybody is in the house. Nobody has that excuse of saying that I'm not at home at the meal time. With the books, TV, the phones, smartphones, everything's shut and just eating and chatting with each other. It was non-negotiable earlier when I was growing up. But I've also unfortunately given up on that habit, but I'm trying to get back to it. Everybody can try and get back to it. So these simple rules, this is the perfect time to bring them back in our lives because we have an opportunity. In fact, we should look at lockdown as an opportunity to practice all of these, even if by force. And as Dr. Balaji said, it takes just 21 days. It's already been 40 days. But even if you begin today, you would be able to change a lot of these habits and they will really stand you in good stead. So in that way, I feel lockdown could be converted into an opportunity for everyone.
Thank you, Kavita. Thank you, Dr. Balaji. I think we had to talk about opportunities, and from both of your narratives, I firmly kind of would wear my MOC, missed opportunities, cognizant mindset hat, and urge everybody else to look at this time and space. Like both of you mentioned, this is the time when the time with the family, the time with everybody together is available. So even if whatever time duration this setting remains, I think we can develop some habits that can quickly come into place whenever whenever we have suppose the situation changes, I don't know when, but whenever we get that time together, we get this setting together, we kind of develop those habits. And in a way, I see this as a potential and a huge opportunity for transformation. In fact, the next webinar that is planned on 22nd May with Arogya CII partnership actually talks about transformations and talks about, is planned to discuss emerging employee well-being trends in the reboot era, where transformation due to change in landscape will be discussed, transformation in terms of digitization and actually evolution of policies for workplace. So I hope people are marking their calendars for that. Just to wrap this up, I think can't thank both of you, for the rich insights that you have brought in here. Kavita, from the nutrition side to a master class in terms of immunity, in terms of mood, in terms of stress, but actually also from Dr. Balaji's side, connecting it to the employee wellness, connecting it to the corporate productivity, connecting it to the change landscape that has happened, and how these pillars can come together to define health and well-being together. I think I haven't missed any questions. We can
Can I just add one point here?
Please do that.
Yeah, so one other opportunity I see here, because I mentioned on the individual level as families what we can do, I see a huge opportunity for corporates here as well. So I thought I'll just mention that also. Like, for example, what we're doing today is a wonderful initiative, with CII and Arogya, and it's a brilliant example of how something like this can be done to open everybody's mindset to correct information. It can start dialogues, and that is something that is the need of the hour today. We need to have more dialogue about healthy living, healthy eating, how to beat COVID, and beat anything else that the mental issues that many of them are going to surface later. I also feel that this is the time when all the corporates, in fact, this is an appeal, which is why I'm just adding it, need to take a call at this point of time and totally understand that the health of their employees, they need to invest in the health of their employees, because bottom line of a company is only as good as the health of their employees. Their efficiency is what makes a company efficient. So whoever takes these decisions in the corporates, I feel this is the right time to, actually start focusing on maybe spending more time, more money, more effort on ensuring that their employees are healthy both in the body as well as the mind, because eventually it's going to help the company only. I see that happening a little. I have seen a lot of corporates waking up to that. Like, for example, Godrej is already a healthy workplace, but many other big companies are also opening up to the idea. I just hope they don't drag their feet and really do things quickly. I'm happy to say that I'm doing a lot of corporate webinars these days, talking about immunity and how to survive the pandemic, and even generic topics like, taking care of your heart and your bones and everything. Suddenly the companies want all these talks for their employees. So that's a good thing happening. I'm doing one almost every day, and that really gladdens my heart, that people are giving this importance. But my point here is that this shouldn't stop the moment the lockdown is lifted and things are perceived as going back to normal, because this should become a norm in the companies. It's not just now. Like I said, a company's bottom line is completely dependent on the health of their employees. So this is an opportunity too, I feel, for corporates to change their policies a little more towards, taking care of their employees' wellness more proactively. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavita.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what
Sure.
you and Kavita mentioned. I think there's one point here. If you see some of the international studies from renowned organizations like Aon Hewitt and Marsh, until a couple of years ago, when they interviewed the various corporates, the top four priorities that the corporates always had were either in terms of measurement of productivity, the learning and development, or recruitment, or rewards, total rewards and compensation. But this year, 2020, I'm not surprised, one of the top priority among the big corporates is health and wellness. So this is an opportunity to invest on employee health and wellness, and I'm sure organizations like Arogya World have been doing a superb job in partnership with CII, and especially I think where Arogya World has got a very integrated approach with Dr. Nalini Saligram, Dr. Geeta Bharadwaj, and others. They have a very holistic approach. I think this is really an opportunity for more and more organizations to partner with CII, Confederation of Indian Industries, and Arogya World, and thereby leverage on the new best practices and invest on employee health. And that is the top priority in the latest survey among the corporates, health and wellness. I think that's a great opportunity in making all of us have a healthy body and a sound mind.
Thank you both of you, and thank you for putting in this last word there together, because like Kavita, what you were saying, and Dr. Balaji, what you just said, nutrition and well-being have been on the agenda, but now, especially with this kind of an earthquake that has hit us, it is kind of a high time that it has come, and it should come to the forefront. And I would just add not just food quantity and quality, but food safety as well, the hygienic practices, and how basically you can have, again, those basic principles of balanced diet, of safe diet, would come into play. And I do hope that the 130 companies that have signed up are healthy workplaces. This network grows, and this kind of nudges the companies and employees to adopt eat right, eat well, eat complete, and healthy well-being agenda. And in fact, one of the opportunity that you mentioned time and again throughout the last hour and a half that we've been talking, I think this influence of
I missed your call.
corporate wellness programs on the, I think somebody, may I request
Marut
to...
is okay. You spoke to Natarajan, I told Marut also. Lakshmi already spoke to Natarajan. He said okay.
I think if some of the attendants, can you please go on mute? Somebody's taking a call and we can hear all about it. Can we put the participants on mute?
Let me find out.
So whoever is talking, sir, ma'am, we can hear all your conversations. So, so anyway,
Let me find out.
hello. Hello.
I think, Smriti, you just
No, I think if there is an option to put the participants on mute, that'll help. So okay, better. So like I was saying, this corporate wellness programs and the interface that is available there is obviously has to be seen in an extension. The employees, men, women, people who are working are also part of families back home. So a lot of the influence that the corporate culture can put in their lives can go back and also kind of transfuse into the families. So I think thank you both of you for putting this last word there together, saying about the corporate wellness agenda, or health and well-being can be taken to a forefront more. There were a couple of questions. One was around immunity. One was around, I'm sorry, I lost the name, but one was around community, one was around foods, and one was around the stress, mood foods. I think all of this we have addressed. And like I said, Arogya Maithali has keeps on putting posts on Twitter or on Instagram of these nuggets, and there are the book that Kavita mentioned is coming out, and there are other resources that can be looked at. So thank you so much, both of you, for your time and your insights. I think it was a truly enriching and informative session. I definitely have learned a lot from all the tips and basically the lenses that taken in the program. So if there are no other questions, I could pat myself on the back to be a good moderator and ending this on time. And if there are other announcements to be made, we can do that, and otherwise sign off. So Naveen, yes, Naveen, thanks. Is saying thanks. There were some questions that were asked and are kind of answered.
Great, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Kavita. Thank you, Dr. Balaji. Thanks everybody for being here. Hope you join us for the next webinar on the series, which is 22nd May. Like I said, same time. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to all the participants. It has indeed been an insightful webinar session with all of you. I hope everybody has learned a lot. There has been immense knowledge to the session. Thank you once again, everyone.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, it should be available on Arogya's channel, YouTube. There was a question on whether it will be available on YouTube. So I believe the recordings are available and the links will be shared. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you all. Signing off now.
Thank you all. We can keep what is